Hello everyone and welcome to Clarity 16.1.3 Feature Supportability Training. I am Vib Mehrotra, and as part of this section we will be talking about the My Workspace general improvements. As part of this release, we are making the following enhancements to My Workspace. The conversations that are available within the My Workspace, the grouping of the conversation card has been enhanced based on the customer feedback. We are also now providing the ability to populate note within to-dos. Customers that have been using conversation and specifically managing that within the My Workspace have found that they wanted more information displayed within the conversation card in the left panel to easily understand and consume the large amount of conversations that is available to them. Customers also noted that when there are replies to the same conversation, then those conversations were getting duplicated in the conversation workspace. And finally, customers using to-dos wanted the ability to capture small notes within their to-dos. Today, they can only define the to-do name and the URL, but they had no ability to specify additional notes to qualify that specific to-do. So as part of this release, the conversation within the My Workspace has been enhanced. The conversation card within the My Workspace in the left panel is enhanced to show additional information. The conversation grouping will also address the issue with conversation cards duplicated when there were multiple replies to the same conversation. So the users will no longer see duplicated cards. Each conversation will be organized as a single card only. Conversation cards are now grouped by three categories: conversation started by the user, conversation where the user was mentioned, and conversations where there are new replies. Changes to the conversation card on the left side will now be organized as follows. There is an indicator on the type of change within the conversation. The avatar of the user that started the conversation will be displayed. An indicator on how old the past posted message within that conversation. Newest reply will be on top of the card list. There will be a one line about the original conversation for the user's reference. So when a conversation is started, the first message that was posted, a one line about that conversation will be available. And there will only be one card per conversation. So if there are multiple replies, we will still only display one card on the left side, and that card will indicate if there is a new reply and how old is that reply. Change to the conversations on the right side of the workspace is as follows. Previously, we used to show who posted the message as the conversation header. We've changed that to now display the conversation parent as the header. Some more details about how the conversation card layout is going to be. So in here right away you can see that there are layout for the card is different from the previous releases of Clarity. Specifically, let's go through the details. So the avatar of the user will be displayed. This is the avatar of the user that started the conversation. We will have the one line of the original conversation, which means when the first time the conversation was started, that one line is going to be displayed right here. And of course, if the line is much longer, we will show ellipses to indicate that there is additional message there. We will also now show where the conversation was started. So in this case, it is the project EMEA Partner Channel Program. And then we will below that will indicate that this conversation was started by the user. If the conversation where the user was just mentioned, then they would be listed something like this, where it says that the conversation was started by another user, and the reason I am seeing this is because I was mentioned in this conversation. If a conversation was started by me, my avatar will be displayed, and it'll indicate that if there is a new reply to a conversation I started, then it'll be listed right here that there is a new reply to my conversation. Similarly, if there was a conversation started by another user, then their avatar will be displayed. And if there is the new reply, then it'll indicate a conversation started by another user has a new reply. And anywhere that I am at mentioned will be listed right here that you were mentioned. That's the reason why I am seeing this conversation card. And finally, we have the time frame as to how old was the latest reply. So in this example right here, there is a new reply that was 15 minutes ago to a conversation that I started, and I had mentioned Dana Lewis for some information. So I can easily understand for this objective, I'm asking Dana for something and there is a reply 15 minutes ago that I should go review that could possibly be from Dana Lewis. On the right side of the conversation, right away the change you will see is that the parent where we started the conversation will now be listed on the very top. The user will also have the option to navigate to the specific parent where the conversation was started. The user can review the conversation and then obviously reply to the conversation from this page itself. Moving towards the notes that is now available within the to-dos. We now have that capability where notes can be tracked within a to-do. Note can be added to any to-do created within the application. The note length that is supported is about 1333 characters. And the user can enter a note with multiple lines. They can add the multiple line by using the shift plus the enter key to create a new line break in the note that they're populating. Note populated within the to-do will be displayed everywhere the to-do can be accessed. Note can be deleted by manually removing the entire text within that note itself, and the note attribute supports field level security. In this example, we can see that the note for to-do is available in the grid view, and this is added by adding the note as a column to the grid view and then populating it just like any other attribute that is available. The to-do note within the checklist is available by listing it right below the to-do itself. So if this is my to-do, there is a note right below that I can easily see that has been populated. If I want to add a note to any other to-do, I can use the three-dotted icon menu and then select the add to-do option from there. If a note is already populated, then I can edit that note in one of two ways. I can either use the three-dotted menu, in which case if the note already exists, the option will be edit note, or I can just click on the note and then start typing or making my changes. In the checklist, the note will be displayed up to 3 lines, and if there is additional text, then we will show an ellipsis. The to-do note within the board view is also available. Note can be added to to-do by double-clicking on the to-do to open it for editing. The user can then use the three-dotted menu to add or edit a note. User can also populate the note by typing in the note field after opening the to-do. If note is already populated, then it can be edited by either clicking on the existing note or using the three-dot menu. If there is a note populated within the to-do, there is a new icon that will easily be visible to the end user, which is this example right here. That in this example, I have a note that is populated to my to-do, and that's the new icon that I can easily see. And in edit mode, the user will see the entire note and not just the 3 lines. So in this example, once I open my to-do, I will see the entire to-do note that will be populated for my to-do, not just the 3 lines. The to-do note within the calendar view is also available. The note can be added to the to-do by double-clicking on the to-do to open it for editing. The user can use the three-dot menu to add or edit the note. So as in this example, I can go to any of my to-dos, I can double click on it, which will open up the to-do for editing, and then I will have this new field for note, which I can then click on to start adding a note, or if there is a note that already exists, I can edit that note, or I can use the three-dot menu to do the same to add or edit the note. There is a new icon to visually indicate if a note is already being populated, which is the same icon that we had in the board view, which is right here. And in the edit mode, the user will see the entire note and not just the 3 lines. All right, with that, let's see the two functionality in action. So first, I am going to go into Clarity 16.1.3. I'm logged in as a user that has access to the projects as well as a checklist and so on. I am going to go into my workspace, and let's look at the conversations itself. So here right away, when I land into my conversation, you can see the new layout for my conversation. The same thing, I can see that I'm logged in as Dana, and the very first conversation that I have is a conversation with the avatar of Ian Erpel. That means Ian started the conversation, and I'm seeing this conversation here because Ian mentioned Dana in the conversation. This conversation was started under the objective accelerated company solution adoption, and there is a new reply posted in here. So I can just click on it and I can see that what the actual conversation was. I can see that I have replied to, and since my reply, Ian has replied back, and that's why it is populated right here, because this is the most recent reply that was done by Ian. I can also see the header as the place where this was started. Right below that is another conversation where I can see the conversation was started by Dana herself, and in this case she had mentioned Patrick in the conversation. The conversation was started in the project, and because Patrick responded back with Dana's name in it, so it says that Dana was mentioned in this conversation. There's another one right below here which was originally started by Ed Carmen, and in this case Ed had mentioned Dana Lewis, which is why this conversation is available, and there is a new reply which was then by me that I had posted a reply to this, and so on. So you can see the different information that is now available, and the different replies, whether it's because the user is mentioned, there is a new reply, or because the user started it. If a conversation is started in a sub-object, then this is how it will be displayed, where you can see that the conversation was started by Dana, mentioned it to the team, and the conversation was started within an issue under a project. So I can clearly see that this conversation was started under the project Able payment module and an issue within that specific one. Similarly, another example is there is a conversation that is started under Able Payments within the risk scope change. So a much clearer and useful information. If I was to reply to any one of these, so let's just go back to this agreement where I have started some in a conversation. If I was to reply to this, I can easily just go and perform my reply. And when I do that, if I refresh it, you will see that that reply is now on the top because it was the most recent reply that was done. All right, if I was to go into a specific project, so let's go into this project. If I can now navigate to that specific project. This conversation was started under the Able Payments module. The conversation is going on between Randy, Beth, and I can go into that project to see any additional information because they're talking about the teams. I can review this conversation from right here. I can maybe start a new conversation and I can ask somebody else to act on it. So let's just say I want Ian to check if the team is available. Once I've started this new conversation, I can go back to my workspace and I can see the most recent conversation is posted where I'm asking Ian exactly the same message that I just typed in. The first line of that message is available right here on top for me to view, as well as it says that I started the conversation in this project and Ian was mentioned. If I log in as Ian in another browser, so this is a second browser, I've logged in as Ian in this case. If I go into my workspace under conversation, I see the same thing where I can see Dana started this conversation. She has mentioned Ian in this conversation. I can click on it and I can see what it specifically she's asking. I can reply to from here, or because she's asking me to check the availability, I can go to the project from here and then review the staffing information. All right. Next, let's look at the to-do note. For that, I'm going to go back as Dana as the user itself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into projects and I'm going to start with the projects to-do itself. I'm going to log into my, navigate to my Able payment module. And in here, I have checklists and to-do. I'm going to go straight to to-dos first. And I've organized my to-dos based on the parent. So I can see there are to-dos within the checklist, within risk and task. If I expand the risk one, I can see that there are three to-dos for risks that I created, two of them under me. One is for explore funding opportunity, and the other one to validate the business if the business is serious about doing it. But maybe I want to add some more information, maybe some information that I collected or some more information regarding this. Now I can do that by going into and adding a new column, which is my to-do note. I can just easily drag and drop. This is just existing functionality of adding a column to my grid. If I now expand this back, I would see that the to-do note is available. And maybe I can say, if I to populate my note, I have populated my note, some information that I collected by talking to somebody, so at least I can track some of that information. The same thing if I wanted to populate a note, but instead of using the column, maybe I want to do that within the details. So the same is available, and in this case, there is a note field that is added right here. I can just go ahead and type it over here, explore funding opportunities. And I've populated my note right over there. Populating it over here automatically brings it up into the column, which is again standard functionality. But now you can see that to-dos have the notes and I can manage it within my grid. Let's also look at within the checklist, how do the to-do notes will appear. So now I'm going to go within the projects checklist, and there is one checklist that is already created. There are 4 to-dos in here. None of them have any notes, but I can see that there is one assigned to me regarding the forecast of any potential staffing changes. So let's go ahead and add a note to it. I can do that by using the 3-dot menu and then clicking on Add Note. And I've added a note just for my own tracking purpose. The minute I have populated that note, as you can see that the note is automatically displayed in here. If I wanted to add a multi-line note, or if I wanted to edit it, I can just click on it and you can see it went into edit mode. I can use Shift Enter to add a new line. And now I've added another line note. And you can see that multi-line note is displayed over here. All right, the same thing, let's go into My Workspace. And in My Workspace, let's go to the To-Dos section of My Workspace. And if I navigate to the same checklist, you can see the same information, which is the to-do note that I've populated for my checklist to do. That is available, and the same thing, I can edit it over here by now using the 3-dot menu and using the edit note, or I can just click on it and edit it. I can even add another note for another to-do. That information is populated for Ian to review when he looks at his to-do. So I can easily see the to-do note within the checklist to-dos. The same is also available within the smart list. So let's go look at the upcoming to-dos in the next 2 weeks. When I do that, I land into the list page, and landing into the list page, I can see there is my to-do and the note that is automatically displayed right below it. So those are my notes that I just populated, and they're also displayed here in this list page. I can again edit it by clicking on it or by using the three-dot menu and using the edit note. The same if I go to the board view, I can easily see that the two to-dos that have notes have the new icon displaying that this to-do has a note tied to it. I can double click on it to open the to-do for editing, and I can see the note right away. I can click on it to go into edit mode, or I could have done the same by going into the three-dot menu and using the edit note button. To add a note to any new one, I can just double click on that, and I can just type a value here, or I could have done the same by doing an add note right there. If I go into the calendar view, the same information is available, which is I can go right here and I can see right away the to-do that has a note. So right here you can see the to-dos that have notes that are pre-populated. Like in this case, the work estimate has the note populated. I can double click on that, and that opens up the to-do for edit. I can see the note itself, I can click on it, and I can edit. The same concept applies here too. All right. And that concludes our section. Thank you, everyone.